Hello everyone! Let's harvest some echinacea roots. First, hold off on harvesting your echinacea until the late fall when all of the plant's energy has returned to the roots. You're going to want to use a garden spade or other tool to help dig up the roots and loosen up the dirt around them. You don't want to pull the roots up directly because you can break them off, and we don't want to lose any part of this magical root. I don't have a garden spade, so I'm using a hand shovel and going to gently pull up the roots after loosening up the soil. Whatever tool you're using, you'll want to insert it about 2 feet from the base of the echinacea so you do not dig into the roots. I should also mention that you will want to wait until the echinacea plant is at least 2 to 3 years old before you decide to harvest the roots. This way, the roots will be as big as possible, and you can ensure that they will have a plethora of medicinal properties. It will also allow other crowns of echinacea to develop from the original plant. As you can see here, I have a lot of echinacea in this particular bed. These echinacea plants are around 5 years old and are overcrowding the bed, hence the reason why the garden bed structure is falling apart and needs to be rebuilt this coming spring. After pulling up the echinacea, shake off as much dirt as possible so you have less dirt to clean off. Next, you're going to want to remove the stems from the root structure. You can do this by using a scissors, knife, or even just snapping them off. You can certainly use all parts of this plant as they all hold medicinal properties, but today we're just going to focus on the roots. You will want to clean these roots thoroughly, especially if late fall is a little wet in your area. To make it a little easier, I got a bowl of water to soak the roots. I'm going to run my faucet and gently take the dirt off. For smaller roots or roots that have a lot of dirt, you can also use a toothbrush to help facilitate this process. So why would we want to harvest echinacea roots anyway? Echinacea stimulates the immune system and improves resistance to infections. It is a must-have for the winter. It can be used locally or systematically to protect against infection, such as urinary tract infection or infected wounds. It also helps repair tissue damage and heals gingivitis. Cosmetically, echinacea is used to treat eczema and psoriasis. It reduces inflammation and acne and is loaded with antioxidants. It especially helps deep cystic breakouts. Echinacea is ruled by the planet Mars, the water element, the Scorpio zodiac, and the brow third eye chakra. It is used in strengthening spells, meaning it increases the effectiveness of the spell, and many carry it around to provide inner strength during trying times. You can also place echinacea in a case to draw prosperity. Now that the roots are cleaned off, I'm going to cut them into smaller pieces so they are both easier to dry and easier to use. I highly recommend using a scissors for these, a very sharp scissors, as they are a root and it's going to be tougher to cut into. I unfortunately could not find my scissors at this point, so I used a very sharp knife, and we just work with what we have. As you can see, this is not the easiest way to do this. Roots are prone to developing mold if left to air dry. You can certainly air dry echinacea by hanging the plant upside down, but I prefer to dehydrate the roots to ensure that they are free of any bacterial growth because I do use these for my cosmetic products. I own a small business called Bewitching Balms, and you can find my information in the links in my bio and at the end of this video. I'm just arranging the echinacea so they are spaced apart from each other and then putting on the dehydrator to 115 degrees for 4 hours. Start with 4 hours, then check in on the roots and see how durable they are. If they are still a bit soft, dehydrate them for longer. I ended up having to dehydrate these roots for an additional 4 hours. The great thing about this as well, you can always dehydrate them for a couple of hours and then leave them to air dry. That way you are reducing as much moisture as possible. Now that I found my scissors, I'm going to go ahead and cut this up a little bit more. Now just keep in mind it will be harder to cut up while they are fully dried, but it is still doable. So I'm just chopping this up so one, they fit into the jar better, and two, it's easier to put into a herbal oil. Finally, store your echinacea in a glass jar with a tight top. Label it and date it so you remember what it is and when you created it. The dried echinacea roots will stay good for at least a year if stored in a cool, dark place. Now you're able to use these for herbal oils, teas, or magical uses. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you learned something new. If you did, please like and subscribe and connect with me on my socials. I would love to meet you all.